Just moving on a little bit more into your album project that you've done recently, bringing musicians in. There's a lot of local talent around here, I've noticed.
Yes, it's a phenomenon. One other time in my life, when I was in college in Ohio, Northeast Ohio, in the '60s,
Yeah.
there was a group of musicians. James King came from there. The Human Beings came from there. There were all these local bands. There was a scene.
Yeah.
And now in Hunterdon County and Warren County and across the Delaware River, which is about 12 miles away in the Lehigh Valley, there are just an amazing number of musicians.
Yeah.
And right down the street is the Pattenberg House, which seems to be
We've got to talk about
the epicenter
The
of
Pattenberg House has a bit of history, doesn't it?
that it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gone through many iterations. It was a whorehouse. It was a lesbian bar. It was a biker bar.
Yeah.
It was an out-of-business bar.
Right.
And Lori, who bought it, I think it's about 3-4 years ago,
Yeah.
took the place, turned it around, and now the level of musicianship that goes through there is amazing. There's a
gotta
real
say
sense of community. People sharing. There's a lot of inbreeding between bands.
Yeah.
It's mostly electric bands. There's a big jam band, Dead,
Yeah.
Garcia type groups, Southern rock,
Yeah.
and funk bands.
There's quite a lot of Americanas coming back into flavour, I believe, as well.
Yes. Yes, I feel very fortunate to be around it. I go there a lot
Yeah.
to listen to the musicians, and it inspires me to come home and work harder.
Yeah. Well, that's it. When you're working with other musicians, you see a level, and then you go, oh, maybe I need to just up my game a little bit
Yeah.
here. And it encourages you, I think.
And sometimes I come home and want to quit because
Well,
it's
let's
just
hope
like,
you don't,
oh
because
my
I think he's a fantastic guy. Like,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Well, the players are, and there's not that many finger pickers out here.
Yeah.
There are some, but there's only a few, and the big following are for the bands.
Yeah.
You know, the acoustic finger pickers. We're there, but we're not the main.
Not the main focus.
thing,
Well, let's
right.
move on that. Why don't you give us one of your finger picking tunes?
Sure. This is, I started playing guitar in the 50s when the folk scene in New York City was evolving.
Right.
Phil Oakes and Dylan and all the Peter, Paul, and Mary, and doing Travis picks and that. And so I started finger picking. I never was good at holding a pick,
Right.
a flat pick. I always seemed to drop it and couldn't keep it. But it just seemed more natural to finger pick.
Right.
And then, and some of the old black blues guys, Reverend Gary Davis and whatnot, moved to New York, and they were old guys then, and some of the young white guys were taking lessons from them and started finger picking. And then, oddly enough, with the movie The Sting and ragtime music,
Yeah.
the guitar player started finger picking ragtime tunes,
Right.
which was very demanding and challenging.
I bet, yeah.
And in the 70s, I moved to San Francisco, and there was a whole finger picking, with Yorma
Yeah.
from Hot Tuna and whatnot. So, and I studied a lot of those players. And I'll play a song that was very popular back then. It was kind of your rites of passage, if you could play the yazoo bass and boogie or not.
Wow, yeah.
So I'm gonna try it.
See how
Okay.
it goes, yeah.
Yeah, this is my version of the yazoo bass and boogie.
certainly takes you to a period in time, doesn't it, as well, I think.
Well, yeah.
It's amazing how music can actually timestamp a period, isn't it? You know, the styles. Where we're stopping, what you kindly introduced us to in Frenchtown, they're constantly playing sort of Glenn Miller type tunes. You know,
Okay.
it's got that sort of feel about the hotel, and it's got that period to it. And when you walk out in the morning, it certainly sets the scene for you to take your walk down the street for breakfast. But
Yes, the National Hotel in Frenchtown is a really nice place, and they have music there. Played there many times.
yeah, it's another place of history, isn't it? There's a lot of history around this area for sure.
There is, in this country, our history, 1492 is when it started being colonized. So, in fact, our house that we previously lived in was built in 1790. This one is 1865. In the 17 and 1800s, there was a lot of development in this area.
Yeah.
So we have the Delaware River and, New York not too far away, 50 miles away. So
It's not too bad.
yeah, there's a lot of history here.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, let's move on to a bit more how you've moved into the modern times rather than the history. Social network and Facebook. I see you do a lot of promotion on there.
Yes, well, I played a lot of bands in the 60s when I was in Ohio, and then back into New York in the early 70s, and out in San Francisco. I got married in 1980.
Okay.
And joined the real world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Way.
Yeah, and so playing kind of took a back seat, and to mortgages, kids, career, all of that. And about 5 years ago, things started to ease up a bit.
Yeah.
And started playing the guitar again.
That's fantastic.
And I knew 3 songs. I had to relearn a lot because I had done finger picking and songs, but I had totally forgotten them and had to redo them. So I started playing open mics, and there's a lot of open mics in the area here. And one thing led to another, and some of the club owners said, well, I want to play on Friday night, and we'll even pay you.
Yeah.
Well, there's a concept. So now I did over 180 gigs last year.
That's great.
Yeah, and sure, I use social media, Facebook, which is great.
It's much easier for unsigned acts or people who are not in the sort of the know of the industry, if you like, to get out there now. There's so many platforms for people to get onto.
It's interesting when the internet started to evolve, local musicians felt that, now here's my chance to be heard. But now there's 20 million musicians.
That's right.
So you're just a drop in the ocean.
That's right. Everyone's come out their bedrooms now, haven't they?
Right. So it's the same old problem: how to get recognized, how to get a following.
Brilliant.
But I just like playing, and I'm very, I play in a lot of restaurants and clubs. I can do a couple hours of just solo guitar, background kind of music, and if 1 or 2 people are listening, I'm a happy guy.
That's what it's about, isn't it? It's the enjoyment. You're out there doing it.
And a lot of people get uptight, and I used to myself, people are talking and not paying attention. But now if somebody's connected, it works for me.
That's it.
And what I do is I do some originals, but the club owners don't like too many originals. They want cover songs.
Yeah.
So I have my own kind of take on cover songs.
Right.
So, which I find fulfilling, and it works for me. Being a little older, you can philosophize a little more and get away with it.
Sure.
You can't get away with teeny bop songs, but you can get away with some
Questions.
some more philosophical songs. So this is called "Where Are We Now?" Where are we now? And where did it go? The time slipped by. It seemed to go so slow. The days gone by will not return. The rain still falls, fires burn. Where are we now? And how far did we fall? Looking back, it all seems so small. And how could we know what it was to learn? The wind still blows, fires burn, the fires burn. And I'm so glad you stayed by my side, traveled down a long lost road. We took to the sky to fly so high. Storms rage on, fires burn, the fires burn.